That's why when like every time I'm on the court and I'm talking to my teammates, like if the ball is almost being out, if like the ball is almost, what are you doing? You knew I was doing this. They can see you in the background talking.
She can come on.
No, she can't come on.
Welcome to the Young Man in the Three. As always, presented by our friends at Wondery Media and, of course, 342 Productions. We have another playoff recap today. Mr. Trey Murphy in the building, and the fellas from the Dunker Spot are back. Steve Jones, Nekias Duncan. What's up, guys?
Hello. Happy to be here.
It was good.
This crew, the Motley crew. I'm glad Trey decided to grace us with his presence today. As always,
feeling good. Shoulder moving good.
Hey.
So
it's moving.
you see that right there?
It's
Y'all see
moving.
that right there? Yeah, you see it.
We got a lot to hit. We're gonna hit all the crazy action from the weekend. If it's cool with you guys, I think we should start with Lakers Minnesota, just because I feel like there's a lot to get into. Nekias, maybe we'll start with you. Just like your initial thoughts, on the last two nights.
Well, zooming out for the last two nights, I think the playoff basketball has just been fantastic. Like, we got a lot of close finishes on Sunday. We got some fun stuff on Saturday. In terms of the series itself, like, I think it has very much been a battle of what does Anthony Edwards do against the Lakers defense? What kind of help are they going to show? How quickly can he diagnose what kind of help is going to be shown? And what decisions are going to be made from there? And I think going to game 4 in particular, he was tremendous, particularly in that second half. Like, drove when he needed to, pulled up when he wanted to, and kind of played with the Lakers' help, was able to play make from there. And you got a lot of shot making from some of the other role guys. It just felt like a very mature, I know what you're doing, I'm going to flip it on its head game from Anthony Edwards.
Steve, where were you?
I mean, I think that was the big battle. The Lakers, obviously, they want to switch. They want to show help. LeBron is just saying whoever's in the corner, it doesn't matter if it's Mike Conley or McDaniels, I'm just going to be at the elbow and stunt at you and take away Ant space. And the back and forth there was always fun. I thought Julius Randle was really important for them in that first half with his drives and his ability to penetrate and make plays and then finding a way to sustain. But it was such a back and forth battle, I felt like, where the Lakers found their rhythm. Okay, we're going to go small. You have to deal with Luka. You have to deal with LeBron. LeBron had, like 25 points on like 6 shots at one point. He was insane. Then they got Austin Reeves going. Because Minnesota kind of had to blink a little bit. Like, yeah, Luka's cooking. Naz Reid gets to the level. Let's put 2 on the ball. Oh, no. The Lakers are able to get us in rotation and make shots. This is not good. But then Minnesota was able to find their defense. And so that's the fun of the playoffs for me. And so it was real interesting. I know there's a lot of talk and chatter about lineups when it comes to this game. I remember watching with Nekias, and I was like, hey, what's this rotation going to look like? Because the timeouts kept happening. Both of them kept being in the game. I was like, okay, this gets tricky. I thought maybe a couple minutes would be stolen, but then you look up, start of the fourth, and it's like, oh, you're going for it. And so that's one of the toughest parts is, from a coaching perspective, you swing for the fences. Hey, if we end this in these first 4 minutes, then y'all can get y'all rest. Problem is, Minnesota and Anthony Edwards had a different story, and now you're fighting against a whole different game. So I think they went for it. Didn't work out, but that's the fun of the playoffs for me.
Yeah, no, Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards, they were phenomenal that game. Like I said on the old man in the 3 a while ago, I said that Anthony Edwards is probably going to be a top 5 player in the league very soon. Do you remember me saying that, Tommy?
Yeah, I do.
And now it's really coming to fruition. He's, this is early. So, he might be taking out Braun in the first round. He took out KD last year, Jokic as well. And then this year, if they end up playing the Warriors, he takes out Steph. Like, we got to have a real uncomfortable conversation about where Anthony Edwards is, like, as a player in the league. And, it's great because it just shows, like, the young guys are just, they're on the way. And I think it's almost like a changing of the guard type of thing that's happening right now with Anthony Edwards.
To this point, to both your points, Trey and Steve, the Wolves are the 23rd ranked clutch team during the regular season. They've been great in this, and I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but they've been great in this series so far. How much of that? There's a lot of guys. Shout out Nas. Shout out Dante. Ant did after the game as well, who've made big shots and big plays. But how much of that is just ball in his hands, his control has led to this sort of sustained success in the clutch?
I think the bulk of it. I mean, I think the formula for Minnesota is when Anthony Edwards hits the playmaking and the scoring. When he's able to hit both of them, it makes it really hard because now you decide in the fourth quarter, we can't let him isolate. We have to double. He's able to make those reads. And you give a credit to the people of Minnesota, Nas Reed, Jay McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, for knowing when to cut, when to attack, when to make shots. But they don't necessarily get some of those looks if he's not able to, A, draw the attention, and B, make the right play. So that's one of the toughest parts, especially for, I think, younger guards. And maybe, Trey, you can yell at me, but like once you start to get more attention from a defense, you do have to start to make those reads and make those plays. And then once you make those plays, you can see the defense be like, oh, you can do that now.
Yeah, no, I saw a little bit of that this year. I remember playing against Boston. I got double teamed. I was like, I've never experienced this before, where I'm coming off the screen, they're doubling. Like, I'm not used to this. And so, like, you got to start thinking the game in that way. But I think one thing to also mention is that Minnesota, like at the beginning of the year, they were such a dysfunctional team. And just looking at the way they play now, like they really look like they've just hit their stride at the almost perfect time. Like end of March and April, they were playing really well. And now they've carried that into the playoffs. And because the Lakers are really good defense too. And so like them being able to do this and have so much offensive firepower has been, great to see. And also got to give a credit to Coach Finch, who's always been a really good offensive mind and is really putting those guys in the right spots to succeed.
And guys, Minnesota had 18 offensive rebounds. They had 9 in the first quarter, 12 through the first 15 minutes. That, with the Lakers playing small, I think it's not a totally shocking number, but it's obviously an issue moving forward. What do you think they do to get back in the series? And in particular with that issue, how do they kind of stem that tide a little bit?
I think ideally the answer is that you get a little bit more juice out of Jackson Hayes minutes. Because I think for the Lakers, your formula is, can we get enough with Jackson, get him some rolls to the basket, stash him the dunker sometimes, get him some easy touches, you get some of the rim protection on the other end, and then you flow into those smaller lineups that kind of take you home and really stress out Minnesota's defense. Jackson has gotten a stint or two in each game, and the Lakers have mostly been outscored in those minutes. So I think the quickest way or the easiest way for them to kind of turn the tide on that front, you get a better Jackson. No foul trouble, no techs. He holds down the fort, helps you on the glass, and you're good on that front. Beyond that, do you sacrifice a little bit of the transition / early offense juice to get more into the gang rebounding? Like, they already try to commit to that, but do you put a further emphasis on that and making sure, okay, we're just not going to have any leak outs. We're going to trust that we can generate something good in the half court, which, to Minnesota's credit, it's been kind of inconsistent for the Lakers on that front. I'm sure we'll have a larger conversation about the Lakers offense, but to the rebounding point, do you just send more bodies to make sure, let's secure this, and then we just trust that Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves can generate something good for us? What do you think, Steve?
I mean, I think for me, when you look at the Lakers, it's less about, it's got to be a team effort. If we're talking about rebounding, they got to be able to finish a stop. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be on one person. I think it's just got to be a commitment as a team. Once a shot goes up, it's gang rebound, let's get it and go. But I think for me, it's tough because what kind of shots are you forcing? That's where the Minnesota penetration gets tricky, because if they're driving, they're kicking, they're getting to your second layer, you're not all set in your smaller lineup. So you're having to kind of just try and find a way to rebound in different angles. So I think it's one of those things where they just have to commit to it. More importantly, I think continue to score the basketball. I think that's been the one trend for them in this series. I think their offense is going to be their best defense to a degree. If they can find a way to keep poking at Minnesota, I think they'll be in a good shape. I mean, using LeBron as a screener, using movement for Luka, they've done some good things. If they can continue to find it on that end, I think being loaded up will help them to be able to rebound.
This is going to be I feel like a trend in a bunch of these series, but I think we might as well sort of start this conversation now with this one, because it's been a thing which has clearly sort of been relevant. Do you feel like the depth overall of these rosters was sort of an underrated factor when analyzing these series going in terms of just how, like, Minnesota is going, they're going, 9-10 deep, which they were all year. But at a certain point, when we look at the minutes disparity, it feels like it just is going to catch up with the Lakers.
Trey, what you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, you normally don't see it as prevalently in like the first round, but, the Lakers, they have like a few they got an older team to an extent. Like they got guys like LeBron, who's the oldest. Luke has a lot of mileage on his body. Dorian Finney-Smith, a lot of their guys are contributors. They've played a lot of minutes, and so that wears on you, especially a team like Minnesota where they play really physical. They play really good defense. Like each offensive possession is like a fight to get a bucket. Like that wears on you. And Minnesota, they just keep on bringing in fresh bodies, and they bring guys that can defend, guys that can hit shots, and so they're making it really tough on the Lakers. And if they're able to get out of this 3-1 hold, it's going to be tough. For the next series, it's going to be like, damn, we got to find a way to win another 4 games if they're playing such heavy minutes and not really getting a lot of rest either.
I think part of it is it shows how much you need versatility in the playoffs. I think part of the problem for the Lakers is it's either we have the one big, like Nakia said, or we have multiple small lineups. But we have these 2 styles. That's it. That's all we have. And so I think in the playoffs, you're going to see most teams play 8 to 9 guys. But the teams that are able to kind of get different looks within it, like Minnesota, we can go double big in 2 different ways. We can go just one big. We can go Randall at the 5. We can go Nas at the 5. We can put length out there in the wings. We can have multiple guards. To be able to get to what you do well in different ways, I think that's key. And so, you have to have a level of versatility because each series is a little different. This series might not be yours. The next one, it might be perfect for you. It's just finding a way to navigate this one.
Yeah, I had this question for all you guys about, this is something we probably, could have hit on before the series started, but how much of this is also just specific to a guy like Nas is a matchup nightmare for the Lakers. And we were joking about it after game 1, but you got to guard him, but also just how he plays feels like it's sort of a unique challenge. And so I guess my question for all 3 of you before we move on to Knicks Detroit is, what's the adjustment you want JJ to make, knowing the roster limitations and also knowing at this point, 5 games in, we know where we are in this series. What do you feel like a thing that can sort of stem this advantage might be?
I think to bounce off of Steve's point from a little bit earlier, I think you've seen more of the good movement sets in the half court for the Lakers. I think leaning into that to a heavier degree, I think it'd be a good bit. I think getting more efficient offense there, again, we'll kind of lead into the defense. We can load up a little bit more. We can kind of set ourselves a little bit more. Maybe that helps us on the defensive glass. And then from there, we can get into more transition, more early offense. So I would just say it's a little bit of the do better button mixed in with the volume button, honestly, with the offense. Just keep moving bodies.
What do you think, Trey?
Man.
Here comes the fucking smart-ass comment.
It's tough. For real, though. If Ant drops 40, it's like you're going to have a tough time anyway, regardless. Jaden McDaniels, he's been playing phenomenal. Julius Randle has been playing well. So it's like, bro, if they're playing like this, it's really hard to, have an answer for all that because of, like Steve said, and like I've said as well, like the lineup flexibility that you have to have in the playoffs, like it is so important because each team and each series is very different. Or it can be similar, but you got to have different ways to attack different teams.
If I add, I would probably say let's see Luka and LeBron at the elbow and the post, try and get them some different looks, try and, hammer the foul trouble button if you can. Also, I would just throw different looks at Anthony Edwards the first 3 times he does something. I'm throwing 3 different things at you, and I'm hoping I get you confused and we can win a game and try again the next time.
Well said. Knicks Pistons, to start, it's been debated a million times over the last 24 hours. Should they have called the foul?
I'm defaulting to the shooter.
Trey, you go first.
Good call.
All right. Do I want that call from in this situation? Absolutely. But it's also tough because you don't want to put the game in the referee's hands, especially a swing game like that. You want to try to give yourself the best look possible without trying to let the referees decide it. So it's like, do you really want to try and go into them or you want to just shoot your regular shot? That's why when every time I'm on the court and I'm talking to my teammates, if the ball is almost being out, if the ball's almost what are you doing? You knew I was doing this. They can see you in the background talking.
She can come on.
No, she can't come on. Anyway, all right. So for me, like if I'm in that situation, yes, I probably do want that foul. But also, my mindset, what I've always been, taught or told is like, don't let the referees decide. Don't like give the referees a chance to decide something. Try to make it like on your own. Like don't try to look for a foul and don't try to like throw your body into somebody. Like try to make the regular shot. Like that's why I always tell my teammates during the game, if the ball's almost out of bounds or like is a rebound, just go get the ball. Don't give the referees a chance for them to be like out of bounds going the other way. And that when you could have easily got the ball and now it's like you lose possession. So it's tough because it's literally like if he gets fouled, he makes the free throws. It's 2-2. It's a whole different series. Now they're going into the Garden. It's 3-1, and it's looking like it's doomsday now. So I feel for him. I feel for Detroit, but also too, it's like it is what it is. I think that's a little bit of what does the NBA want to see? Detroit in the next round or the New York Knicks.
Here we go.
In the next round.
I wasn't expecting shooter talk to turn into conspiracy theory, but we here.
I said, hey, I didn't point any fingers. I just asked a question.
Here we go. Here we go.
That's on me. That's on me.
Mordecai, what'd you think?
It was a foul. It was a foul. Like it would have been a weird, from an entertainment standpoint, you don't want games to be decided by whistles, but like it felt like there was contact live and then you get multiple angles of the contact just being there. And then you get the referee admission after the game. It's just like, yeah, they just blew that one. I think the only other thing I would say is very old school, I guess, but Detroit probably shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. Honestly, I could say that for both teams. Because if New York makes shots in the first half while Detroit was just slinging the ball all around the lot, this is just a blowout. We're not even here.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Also, end of the third quarter when what are we doing here?
Oh, no, not you.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I said the same thing as we were watching this game.
Like, we think this is Rucker Park? Like, why are we trying to just like pass the ball off, get it done, get that crowd hype? It's like, bro, like those are points. In the playoffs, you need every single point, especially in a Detroit and New York series where I think it was 75 points with like 5 minutes left or something like that, or 6 minutes left. I'm like, dog, this is a hard watch for people that like shot making. But then they picked it up at the end. I will say that.
We were hosting a watch party for this game, and I wish I could remember who it was in the chat that said the Pistons were aura farming at the end of the third. And I was like, you know what?
Bro, like exactly. Like, bro, just get the layup, bro. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
2 points is 2 points.
Steve, where were you at with it?
I mean, I thought Cade got a clean look off. I was like, oh, he got right to his spot and got up. And then afterwards, I was like, ooh, that's a tough call. Because I don't think the ref had the angle that we all had where Josh Hart hit him. And so it's like, ooh, you snuck away with one there, I think. And I never like when games kind of come down to a non-call. Because like Trey said, old school mentality. Refs they're humans. They're going to make mistakes. You got to play the game and try and take it out of their hands as much as possible. And especially the way that fourth quarter was, the shot making, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, apparently doing whatever he wanted to Jalen Duren, who was fighting for his life. Tim Hardaway Jr. kept making shots. Like the back and forth was so good. I was like, dang, I wish it didn't end like that. Cause that's all people are going to remember and talk about. The Pistons fighting back into a game maybe should not have been in, like y'all said. The Knicks responded. Like, I don't know how it is that Jalen Brunson, whenever his ankle hurts a little bit in the playoffs, gets like a 10 overall boost. I don't understand how that works. But he found his way. And I think it goes back to Cat, man. Once they got Cat in the post, once they got him moving, once they decided, hey, Tobias Harris can't guard him, and now he's attacking fives like he had for most of the season, that it flipped it.
Trey, which Cat shot did you think was more impressive? The three or the fall away with 1:30 left where he was basically out of bounds?
I mean, shoot, like, that's tough. They both tough buckets. But I think the more important one is probably the first one because I don't know, dog. They were both some tough shots. Like, I was watching like, damn, this is some really good shot. Like, this is really elite shot making. Like, I was really impressed by Cat. Also, just taking over at that point. He was just like, look, I'm going to shoot this shot, like, no matter what. Like, you saw when he caught the ball, he was going to shoot the ball. Like, no questions asked. Yeah. And he got the shot off. I mean, a step back from 30 feet from a 7-footer, that's pretty tough.
Nikias, do you feel like, in Detroit's locker room, they got to feel decent even being down 3-1 for how close these games have been. Do you feel like their adjustment is sort of as simple as, kind of clean up the turnovers a little bit and maybe try to get Beasley going a little earlier?
That feels like the lowest hanging fruit for me. Like, I think take care of as simple as it is, take care of the basketball and you're just in a much better spot. New York was just able to get going in transition super early in that game and to put them in a hole they had to dig themselves out of. As far as adjustments go, like they've stuck with Cade. The Knicks have stuck with putting 2 on the ball against Cade, whether that's Cat in action or Mitchell Robinson in action. I like when they sprinkled in like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley one pass away. Something that Steve mentioned during one of our watch parties was just how low they're setting some of those ball screens for Cade as well to kind of put more strain on those rotations. So mixing both of those things in, getting a little bit cleaner with your spacing, I think is fun. Something that Detroit sprinkled in at the end of the first half, like they tried to put Jalen Brunson in action again. They went with flat spacing on that possession to say, hey, do you actually want to go with the show and recover here and let Tim Hardaway Jr. pop out to this left wing for a 3? Or do you want to do something else? And Cade's able to snake, get downhill, tosses a lob to Sar Thompson. So, like, I think spacing deal, take care of the ball. Those are probably the 2 major things for me.
Steve, did you have anything you'd like to see?
Probably just got to put Jalen Brunson and Cat in action, and you got to give the same effort defensively and fly around. You need a big K game in the Garden, try and bring it back to Detroit. This is the tricky part for me, though. Elimination games are weird because all it takes is 1 or 2 things from the Knicks to be like, actually, this doesn't matter. I mean, Bridges has a big 3 game, or OG goes off, or it's Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart makes 4 threes game. Then it's like, well, we did our job, but dang,
yeah, campaign happened again.
Yeah, they all.
Yeah.
I think that's what's scary is they haven't had that game yet. And it's coming at some point where they kind of put everything together. Trey, I have a player perspective question for you before we move on. I actually was just really curious this yesterday when they put out the last 2-minute report after the fact. If you're in that game and you're on Detroit, do you actually want to see that?
No.
I think we got a pretty firm answer.
I'm like, just really, like, just that's what it feels like. Just kind of, sometimes less is more, I think, in terms of information.
Like, just don't say anything, bro. Like, even Guthrie, it was Dave Guthrie, right? I think that's how you say his name. Him coming out like, yeah, it probably was a foul. Thank you, bro. Like, now you're going to make the game 2. Now you're going to make the series 2-2 for me? No. So just don't even say anything at all at this point.
Yep.
Hey, you know the wildest part, though? It wasn't even they did the last 2 minutes. They did a pool report. Usually those are just like, actually, no, we got it right. Yeah, leave us alone. It was like, yeah, our bad. And I know if you see that right away, it's like, come on, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like, I don't want to hear that, in all honesty. Probably pissed me off even more, to be honest.
Let's move to the other East game from yesterday. First off, I think we all send our prayers up to Dame. Great dude. Great ambassador for the league. It sucks, but he's also just a fighter. So he'll be, we know he'll come back stronger. I kind of want to get your thoughts broadly. Maybe Steve, we'll start with you. Do you see anything the Bucks can do to kind of get back in the series?
Not with the way Indiana's been playing offensively. I think Milwaukee's given the effort. We talked about it last week. I don't know if the emoji updated, but the Bucks had to find a way to sustain defense. And last night was, obviously a very tough scene, but they could not sustain any sort of defense. I think it was Indiana shot 50%, 8 of their 9 guys were scoring points, double figures. It was just really hard. And I think the fact that Indiana has the ball movement, they've got the pressure they can put on you. If you put Brook Lopez in, they try different coverages, they're able to attack it and get the ball moving. You put Bobby Portis in the switch, they're able to drive and kick. They just put too much pressure on the Bucks defense for them to really kind of have the formula, right? Because Milwaukee has scored. Like, they scored the last 2 games with them. Unfortunately, if Indiana's not cooperating and Miles Turner's able to hit you on a pick and roll, pick and pop, they've been able to alternate. Pascal hasn't had to have a huge game. Tyrese hasn't had to have a huge game. They just do it as a unit, and that just puts too much pressure on Milwaukee. So unfortunately, I just don't think they're going to have the defense to be able to really lock in on the formula to win this series.
Nikias, what's impressed you about Indy?
I feel like the answer is just yes on the Pacers front, honestly. Like I tweeted out earlier, they're 37-15 in the calendar year of 2025. Like they have just been very good for a long time. They've been a top 10 offense and defense for like 4.5 months at this point. And it's kind of extended into the series. Like as Steve touched on, the ball movement, the pressure that they put on Milwaukee's defense has been there. Defensively, it's been pretty sound and still pretty pressure filled. We're going to go with full court pressure. We're going to bother you before you even get into whatever you want to run. We're going to be physical off the ball. You try to run pick and roll against Miles Turner, he's going to be at the level. And if you have someone we don't care about, we got Pascal or someone else roaming. If you try to set up a touch for Giannis in the mid post, we're going to double. And even if we don't, Andrew Nembhard is going to be at the nail no matter what you want to do. And so they just feel like a very sound basketball team on both ends of the floor. And the way that they play and the pressure that they put flows into both ends of the floor. So, like, it's hard not to be impressed with what they've been able to put together in the series.
Trey, what do you think makes Siakam so good?
He's just so aggressive, dog. Like, that's one of the things, like, when you're guarding people, like, it's different from guarding somebody that's, like, really good and is just super skilled, but, like, you never know what they're going to do. But if you know somebody's going to attack you every single time, those people, you're like, all right, I really got to lock in for this dude because, like, he will try to get 50 on you if you really let him. So it's like, you really got to be prepared for that. He plays really physical and also he's hitting shots. So it's like, it's a really tough combination, especially with the Pacers. Like, the amount of space having that floor is very nice. I would say very nice.
Before we get to the two West series, which I feel like there's a lot to hit on, we need to hit Cleveland first because their fans are going to get pissed if we don't talk about them at all. Nikias, can you say something nice about the Cavs?
Their offense is machine-like, and I have just really enjoyed their process offensively. They play with tempo. We are going to find your weak link on the perimeter. We're going to put them in action in some kind of way. Whether that is Evan Mobley inverted pick and roll with that guy being defending the screen. Let's see what you want to do with it. Do you want to switch? Do you want to show and recover? Let's just run double drag 15 times a game and see if you're going to switch that first one or see if we can slip out and generate an advantage on that front. Darius Garland can knock down pull-ups wherever he wants to and is a tremendous playmaker. Donovan Mitchell, just kill shot after kill shot after kill shot in fourth quarters, going back to, I think, the game 2 between the two teams. But he's been phenomenal pretty much all year long. Jared Allen finishes everything. Max Strus cares not for anything Miami wants to do. I've just gotten a chuckle out of watching him knock down contested shots and letting the Heat know about it. We talked about Ty Jerome on the last episode, so I won't hang there too long, but he's also been very good. They're just a really good club. And like defensively, the way that they set up their shell, like you're just not getting into the paint. You're not getting to the rim. You're not getting into the paint, much less the rim. And so it's just made it really tough for Miami to generate much of anything good or consistently offensively.
Does it feel like Strus has been almost the forgotten man a little bit this year because of how deep they are? And this is a guy that's had a big shot after big shot in his career, and he's hit 11 threes in the first 3 games, but it just feels like just the embarrassment of riches a little bit with this group.
Sure, he wanted to remind Miami who he was. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Very quickly. I think the thing for me is because of the way their offense has grown, the tempo they play with, Evan Mobley being able to be aggressive and attack, the emergence of Ty Jerome, you haven't needed Max Strus to do as many things, if that makes sense. So he can now be in rhythm, work off ball, spot up, be involved in their movement sets, but also when he's knocking down shots, it elevates them. As opposed to kind of a feel where, they need him to make these threes so that opens something else up. So I think that's kind of it for me. But there's such a unit where everyone kind of knows their role, everyone plays together. It makes it tough to really poke at one person. Because, I mean, Miami even came out in that game, fired up, ready to go. All of a sudden, Ty Jerome's in the game. They run 19 empty side pick and rolls and get whatever they want. And it's a whole different ball game. And then they're just off to the races. And they just never stop keeping pressure on you. And that's the toughest part about the Cavs.
Trey gets very excited when the name Ty Jerome comes up on the show. He just starts smiling and raises his hand.
That's my boy. But I was at the game actually, and he went up, was that 12-4, 15-4, something like that? It was big league. And I remember I was like, okay, he actually got something going. They put in Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter. I looked up again. Ty was plus 19. Dre was plus 19. I said, makes sense. I mean, shoot, the UVA guys do it again. Are we even surprised at this point?
This is annoying because he's biased, but he's actually right in this case. So
am I right or am I wrong?
There's only so much you can say. He's just the facts do back him up.
Exactly. Just look at what I'm talking about. I mean, it is what it is. We just go out there and we produce.
That's how it is. very quickly on Boston, Orlando. I just want to get your guys. I feel like we should probably shout out Paolo, win or lose in the series, how good he is. But I also wanted to get, maybe Steve, we'll start with you. What do you think the Celtics' biggest takeaway from the series is, just moving forward?
We need to get the hell away from the Orlando Magic as fast as possible. Does that qualify?
I think that counts.
You big, tall, physical people, please stop switching and beating our players up. Not that they thinking that way, but can we just get out of here? Can we just be done with y'all? Paolo's driving him 8 million times. KCP done hit Jason Tatum 14 times. Al Horford's fed up. Can we stop? In all seriousness, it's probably we cannot play slow tempo in these playoffs, especially against these teams that switch, and we cannot lean into just quick shots. But that's been the Boston issue during this whole run. When they kind of go into that mode, it kind of leaves everything open. And so they've got to understand we got to play with tempo, force, obviously play matchups, but get our movement up. And then that way set up our defense. We get some easy ones in transition. We're off. So I think that's probably the biggest lesson.
Trey.
Yeah. I've said before, Orlando, they're a good defensive team. I also said before they be hacking. So looks like that holds true in this series. And I will say Orlando, they've been hooping. All their guys have come in and they play just fearless. Anthony Black has played really well, in my opinion. He's been, guarding well, attacking around, getting guys open. And, obviously Paolo is just Paolo, but nobody's surprised about that. So, I think they're a really good team, but also Boston, they just have too many weapons, and their weapons, Jaylen Brown's not playing at 100%, not even close to it. Still haven't played with Drew Holiday, and they're still doing really well in this series. So, Boston's tough. So it's going to be tough for Orlando to really compete with that, especially because they're not really able to score with Boston, which not many teams are really equipped to score Boston.
Nikai, did you have any thoughts?
Oh, no, it's a quick salute to the Orlando Magic for me. Trey mentioned the hacking. I'll just say they've been very physical in this series, to echo Steve's sentiments as well. But I think in general, being physical and ultimately the switching, they've done a really good job of limiting the threes for Boston. That's what's kind of allowed them to stick around in some of these games. You get Paolo downhill, you get Franz downhill. We just need a third and a fourth to help those two. But the defense has been pretty sound through the first few games of the series. They just haven't been able to knock down enough shots consistently to really make them pay. But I feel like the game plan itself has been sound for them.
Last two series, hopefully long Western Conference series. We'll start with the one tonight. Golden State, Houston. We don't know yet if Jimmy's going to play. We'll probably find out 9 minutes before the game. Steve, maybe we start with you. What are your thoughts with Houston in particular offensively? They're 15th in offensive rating in the playoffs currently. It's not good enough, to move on. What do they need to be doing to fix that a little bit?
Try and play with as much tempo as you can, drive the basketball, attack the matchups you can. You got to get Şengün going. You have to get Jalen Green to find the mix of getting downhill and mixing his pull-ups. You need a Fred VanVleet game. You just need someone to kind of just eke through some of these possessions. But if you hurt yourself by playing super slow and you allow Golden State to set up and they're able to show help and recover and you're not making threes, you're not getting the paint, you're not sharing the ball. I think they had 34 made field goals, 19 assists in that last game. That's not necessarily going to consistently beat a Warriors team that has a guy in Stephen Curry who can stabilize them. So your defense is grinding it out. You got to either force some turnovers, you got to attack and transition, get some easy ones. You got to find something to keep the pressure off of you being deep in the clock. And so, I don't know, give Dylan Brooks a post up, give Jabari a post up, do something to try and get something that's closer to the basket. Because you got to find some way to get Golden State to feel like, okay, we need to send help. We need to send two. We need to do something to rotate. And that's been, I think, the battle for Houston, to where they have those moments where the offense isn't enough and Golden State's able to kind of just surge through them.
Nikai, what'd you see?
I think for me, it's just comfort in the paint for Houston. I think if you brought it, zoom out on this game, the game 4, Jalen Green was getting 2 on the ball. They ramped up the pressure against Jalen Green. You got 2 on the ball against Jalen Green in a series where I would imagine a lot of people are like, if Draymond is going to defend Alperen Şengün, they're not going to double him. Jalen Green isn't a superstar, at least not yet. So you don't have to send 2 to him if you don't want to. And so the fact that he got that coverage, I think, is a positive. Houston just has to make them pay if that's the cover he's going to get. They have to see more of the playmaking from Jalen Green. You have to see more of the short roll comfort from Amin Thompson if he's going to be used as a roller. Like, I think for him, trying to find the balance of chewing up all the space that he's seeing, Golden State was able to stash some centers on him and stuff like that, taking advantage of that space whip drives. Hopefully that opens up some of the playmaking for him. They just got to get something going consistently downhill. Like, Şengün missed a lot of shots that I want to say he normally makes, but it's also just been a weird finishing season for him overall. But in general, he has the talent to do so. So if you get more proficiency inside the arc, I think Houston is going to be okay because their defense remains very strong. Like you mentioned, the offensive rating for Houston in the series, Golden State ain't that far ahead of them in this one. So if they can just find some buckets inside the arc, they should be okay.
They're 14th, right? And Golden State's 13th or 14th. What do you guys think about some of the stuff Golden State was doing offensively in the fourth quarter, running some stuff through post, and obviously what Gary Payton, just how they unlocked him a little bit?
With a team like Houston, they're gonna play really good defense, which they have done the entire series, in my opinion. So they're not gonna just let you get your first option, and so that's when guys like Gary Payton, they have to eat. Quinn Post has to eat. You put two on the ball, Gary Payton, now you have to make a play. And what you saw is like he got downhill off of those pocket passes when they had two on the ball, and he got layups because there's a few times Dylan Brooks was low man, he didn't want to foul out. Ended up fouling out in anyway, but you gotta, like, when you're a team like the Warriors who's always play like that, they're just gonna make the right play every time, and then after that let the dominoes fall. That's what they're accustomed to. So, that's how they were able to, win that last game. I mean, also because they have Steph Curry, that's the reason why. But then, the other guys were able to make plays too.
Steve, is there a specific adjustment you'd like to see from Houston, like anything rotation wise or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see how much and how long they want to put the double big lineup in. If they want to go jumbo and go big against Golden State, going smaller with some more shooters on the floor. So I think for me, it's probably just size. Like, let's try and be as big as we can, try and be as physical as we can with Golden State, and see what we can create from there. But I think a lot of what Nekias nailed is huge. You need a better Şengün game. You need a better Jalen Green game, and that can kind of give your defense the wiggle room it needs.
I think we will now close with, one of the great first round series. I feel like it's setting up Clippers, Denver. Trey, what were your initial thoughts watching Saturday?
If I'm going to be completely honest with you right now, when Denver got up 22, I turned to Netflix because I started watching the series and I was, binge watching that. So I said, all right, well, this game is over. And I got a notification on my TV that said, what is it? I think it said Kawhi brings them back. And I was like, what do you mean brings them back? They were down 22. And then I clicked in and it was 96-92. And I was just amazed at what was happening. And it was one of the better games I've seen because, you thought it was over with, but they came back and really tough, man. That's a tough call at the end. Probably is a bucket, but that's a sad way to go out. That's a really harsh way to go out on that last game, for sure.
I have an aside. Is it season 1 of you?
A 5.
Oh, so the new season.
Yeah, I've already finished it. Like, it's really good.
Okay.
Sorry to talk about some other basketball.
We'll get back to that.
I started 2 days ago.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah, for real. My bad.
Nekias, with LA getting back into it in the fourth, how much of that is Denver being gassed versus a specific thing you saw?
It felt like the defense really perked up for the Clippers as they were making that run. Like, you got really good defensive effort from Bogdanović in this one after, we'll say, an interesting first half from him. I didn't know how the minutes were going to go from there, but he really stepped up and made some big plays on both ends of the floor. So he certainly got going. James Harden made big plays. Kawhi made big plays. And I don't know how much of it was the gas for Denver. Like, I think this is more a credit to what LA did defensively and kind of the pressure that they put on them. I think they were just really physical with them. I think they did a really good job of forcing Denver to work a little bit deeper into the clock than they wanted to. And then they were able to just kind of get off and run and flow into the early offense from there.
Steve, where are you at right now in the series overall?
It's just a back and forth battle. We've seen the peak of both teams to a degree because they can poke at each other in so many different ways. So we saw in game 3, what happens when Denver's defense isn't performing at a high level and what the Clippers can do to them on both ends of the floor. And then game 4 was a reminder of what Denver can do when the defense is operating, when they are hitting their rotations, when they're flying around, when Jokic is playing at a high level. And it's just going to be the in-between, like who can kind of set the tone, who can kind of raise the ceiling for each other. Because it's going to be a back and forth battle, in that fourth quarter as things got tighter. Did you feel the same way about Denver with Jokic and Murray? Do you feel the same way about the Clippers when they open things up and Norm Powell's able to make plays and James Harden's making plays and Kawhi's making plays? Like, it's going to be a slugfest. This feels like a 7-game series to me, just with the way that they're going out and playing and competing. Because I don't think there's one true edge until you get to the third quarter and you see, oh, they're doing this tonight. Okay, this is what it's looking like. Because, I mean, all of a sudden, Jokic and Murray put all kinds of pressure on the Clippers. You don't feel comfortable about your coverages. But then the Clippers start roaring back because Kawhi Leonard's jumping all over the place like a grizzly bear. And now we're just going toe to toe. So it's like, this is the one where I'm like, I could see either way, but I don't know if there's just one way for either of these teams to win.
How does Denver unlock something with their bench?
Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, I'm about to say, what else do we need to really talk about with them? I mean, I feel like that's something they struggle with the entire year is their bench. So
yeah,
and they got to the 4 seed, or the 5th? No, they're 4 seed.
4 seed
with Nikola Jokic. I mean, he had 30, whatever, 20, and 8. What else do you need?
Well, it's the funny part is Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, Murray, Christian Brown all played 42 or more minutes. So I think the key.
Yeah, what bench?
I think Coach Edelman has decided. You know what? If we need to go ahead and ride this, save us some few minutes here and there. But like this is how we're going to have to win the series.
Well, this is my question, Nikias. Maybe we'd go to you. I mean, I guess my question is, yeah, you win Saturday that way, but this is the second Saturday of the NBA playoffs. We're in the first round. Don't you feel like maybe it was it was clearly the right move. They somehow pulled it out Saturday. But at a certain point, does this not feel sustainable?
It's definitely a tough formula for Denver to roll with. I think to answer your question, the easy answer is Russell Westbrook is healthy again. And so you do just have a guard that has been trusted to this point. And so that's going to be your easy answer to getting more bench production. Now, as we've seen throughout the season or zooming out multiple seasons, the Russ experience can go either way. You can have the game one. You can also have, pinpoint any game you want to point to. With some of the Russ stuff. But that's going to be your easier answer there. Like, I think what's intrigued me more is like when they try to steal the rest for Jokic and what the Clippers do. When they try to steal that rest for him, I think they went back to Aaron Gordon at the 5 in this game 4. After game 3, they gave DeAndre Jordan a stint, and the Clippers just said, actually, we're just going to blitz everything that you do. And those minutes went haywire for Denver. It's like, all right, Jokic, we need you back at the scorer's table. Please help us. So like that's been a pretty fun mini battle for me. But yeah, I think getting Russ back, and it would be nice if one of the young wings could pop for Denver. Like, can you get Peyton Watson's going to bring it defensively all the time? Can you get 2 corner threes made in a cut for Peyton Watson?
Yeah.
Will Julian Strawther see 10 minutes in like real playoff time? They want the shooting, but the defense can go either way. We'll frame it that way. But like if you can steal a stint, like in the first, early second, or like late third, that's kind of where the pocket is, especially since we're coming off this game where Denver was willing to say, actually, all of these guys are playing 42 plus minutes.
Steve.
Now, I think the tricky part is, to Nikias' point with the Clippers bench, the Nuggets bench, the Clippers have changed what they want to do. So you don't know if that smaller unit is going to switch everything or if Ben Simmons is going to be at the level and they put 2 on the ball. And so when you have the DeAndre Jordans of the world out there with Pickett and those are just switches, okay, who's creating something for us? So I think probably just kind of trying to get to some more movement. I think Peyton Watson getting downhill would help, but you got to be aggressive. And I think one of the pluses for them is probably having Jamal Murray out there during those minutes to maybe be someone they can play off of. But it's tricky because that Clippers defense in those minutes is just a bunch of wings with size. Yeah. So it's like we don't necessarily have our creator in the same way, and we're asking these guys to make different types of plays. I think it'd be different if they were facing a different team that had a little bit more of a base coverage. But you got to kind of go out there and get buckets against Batum, Derrick Jones, Kawhi, Ben Simmons, and that's where it gets tricky for the Denver bench problem plus the problem the Clippers present.
Yeah. Do you guys want to see more Batum minutes?
Yep.
Yeah, he's missed some shots in second half of game 4, but he's been so good for them all series long. I would like to see more.
Trey, do you have a Clippers bench guy you look for in game 5 to have an impact?
I mean, probably the guy you just said, Nick Batum. I mean, Chris Dunn, obviously he's phenomenal defensively, but Denver was really living with him, shooting open shots. And so if you put Nicholas Batum out there, you can't treat him the same way. And so it opens up their offense even more. And they already have a very elite offense. And so once you put Batum out there to, space the floor, play great defense as well, move the ball, and just be overall just solid, that's when it really opens up for them. So I can't remember which game was a Batum game that was a game that he really played well in Denver. I don't know if it was game 1 or 2, but I want to say it was a game they won, and he hit shots, played great defense, and they won the game. So, it'd be him spacing the floor, a 3-and-D type of role, and would help them out tremendously next
Trey,
game.
I have another question for you. If you're in a situation where you're not you personally, because it's not your personality, but your team is in a fight, do you hold back somebody on the other team from doing something crazy, knowing that there's a possibility that will now cost you later in the game?
It depends on who the teammate is I'm holding them back from, because you got to know who your teammate is, because if you don't hold that person back, then my teammate is also going to react. So it's like a whole domino effect. No, butterfly effect. Sorry, we'll say that. So if I don't hold Aaron Gordon back and say it's my teammate, we'll just say Ron Artest. We need Ron. If the person I hold back goes after Ron is going to attack him. And so then it's just a whole snowball effect.
We just took it to went to a way worse place then.
Exactly. So I'm going to just be Gandhi here and just make sure nothing happens, because us losing that guy and my guy is just not worth it.
Yeah, that's probably wise. We'll close it with this. I think, we're taping this Monday afternoon. I want from just the three of you guys, if you just have what's one impact, it can't be a star, what's one impact performance you're looking for in the next 2 nights as a prediction that you think is going to happen? Maybe they've gone off already, but we can't say Cade, you can't say Jokic. It's got to be somebody who's sort of on the edge we feel like is going to potentially come close to swinging a game. Nekias, we'll start with you.
I think if the Milwaukee Bucks give Brook Lopez more than the 2 post touches that he's gotten through 4 games of this series, I think the answer can be Brook Lopez. I think he can help their offense. If Milwaukee's going to steal a game probably sounds rude, but if they're able to win another game here following the Dame injury, Brook Lopez can help Giannis out the scoring.
It is crazy. You kind of forget he's out there.
They space him so much, which I get, but it's 2 post-ups through 4 games and both came in the same quarter. Use Brook Lopez, please.
Steve.
I'm stunned. As for more post-ups. I'm going to go with a Josh Hart game. I'm going to go with a Mike Conley game.
The vets. Trey?
I'm not going to say Ty Jerome. I was going to say Ty Jerome. I'm not going to say Ty
You can't
Jerome.
say anybody who went to Virginia. You're not allowed to say anyone who went to who played college basketball in Charlottesville.
They only got 3. But in all honesty, I don't know. Can I say Michael Porter? Because I feel like one of the reasons why they won that game was because he played really well. He hit open shots. And if they're going to commit so much attention to Jokic and Murray, and Michael Porter is also hitting shots, it's what else? What other answers do you have? So I think that'll be the third. Between him and Gordon, the other guys are able to put the ball in the basket in a series that is going to be tough to score.
I think it's a good way to close it out. Thank you guys as always. We got another dunker spot coming later in the week. We got another young man coming later in the week. Enjoy the games tonight, everybody.